This is the second lesson on surface area and volume, and this time we're going to look at calculating the volume of cuboids. So last lesson we talked about what volume was. So have a little think to yourselves for a couple of seconds, see if you can remember how we described volume. So we said that volume is the amount of space that an object takes up, okay? What units do we use to measure volume? So have a little think again, see if you can remember what were the units that we used to measure volume. Okay, so the picture on the right should be a little help. We've split this cuboid into lots of smaller cubes. So we measure volume in cubic units. So the first one, we've got millimeters cubed, then we've got centimeters cubed and kilometers cubed, okay? And the little 3 here, that tells us that we're dealing with cubic units, okay? Literally just little cubes. So if I had a cube that was 1 centimeter high, 1 centimeter wide, and 1 centimeter deep, we would say that this object has a volume of one centimeter cubed, or 1 cubic centimeter. Okay. So last lesson we were measuring the volume of cubes by actually counting out how many cubes were in a shape. Okay. Now that's fairly easy to do with this shape here, but as we move on to bigger shapes, it's going to be much harder to count all the cubes in this shape and make sure we've got it right. There's lots of opportunities to make an honest mistake by miscounting too few or too many cubes. So we need an easier way to calculate reliably what the volume of a cuboid is. Luckily, we have a way to do this. So when we calculate volume of cuboids, we have a nice easy formula to remember. It is height multiplied by width multiplied by depth. Okay, so if we have a cuboid here, see the cuboid on the left, we're told that each cube is 1 centimeter high, 1 centimeter wide, and 1 centimeter deep. Okay, so first things first, let's find the height of this cuboid. Well, I can see that the cuboid is 2 cubes high, and I'm told that one cube is 1 centimeter high. Therefore, this shape is 2 centimeters high. But what about the width? Well, I can see that it is 3 cubes wide, and I'm told that 1 cube is 1 centimeter wide. So that must mean that this shape has a width of 3 centimeters. And what about depth? Well, if I look carefully, if I count how many cubes deep this shape is, 1, 2, 3, 4. If it's 4 cubes deep, and I can see that 1 cube is 1 centimeter deep, that must mean that this cuboid has a depth of 4 centimeters, okay? Now we have all the information to calculate what the volume of this cuboid is, okay? So let's write out our numbers. Our height was 2 centimeters. Our width was 3 centimeters. And our depth was 4 centimeters. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to multiply the height and the width together. So 2 times 3 is 6 centimeters squared. Now you might be wondering why a centimeter is squared, but if you think about it, when we do 2 times 3, we've actually found out the surface area, or just the area, of this rectangle on the front of the shape here. Okay, and remember, we measure area in centimeters squared, these units, centimeters squared. Okay, so now we've figured out the surface area of the front rectangle, front part of the cuboid. If we multiply this by the depth, remember the depth was 4 centimeters, 6 times 4 is 24. And because we're dealing with volume, and we've been dealing with centimeters, the units will be centimeters cubed. So the final volume of this shape is 24 centimeters cubed. Okay? So all we did was we found the height, the width, and the depth of the shape. We multiplied all the numbers and then made sure our units were correct at the end. So because we were working with centimeters, our answer was going to be in centimeters cubed. Let's have a look at another example. So this time we are told that this shape is 4 centimeters high, 2 centimeters wide, and 3 centimeters deep. So let's write out a formula. So volume equals height times width times depth. Okay. Now what are these values? So height, well, that's 4 centimeters. Width, that's 2 centimeters. And depth is 3 centimeters. So first of all, let's multiply the height and the width together. So 4 times 2 is 8 centimeters squared. Okay, now it is 8 centimeters squared because remember, we've calculated the area of the front of the shape. Okay, now all we need to do is multiply this by the final depth, which was 3 centimeters. And 8 times 3 is 24 again, and the units will be centimeters cubed. Okay, because we were dealing with centimeters, because this is a volume, it will be centimeters cubed. Okay, so the final answer for this shape is 24 centimeters cubed. Let's have a look at one more example. Okay, so we're on the final example now. So we are asked to calculate the volume of the cuboid. So by this time, our shape hasn't been divided into cubes at all. All we're told are 3 measurements about the shape. So before we go anywhere, let's remember the formula for volume. So volume equals height times width times, sorry, not volume, depth. So let's see if we have these values for this question. So first of all, do we have the height? Yep, we've got a height, that is 3 millimeters. Do we have the width? Yep, we've got the width, that is 5 millimeters. Do we have the depth? Yep, the depth is 6 millimeters. Now, hopefully you've all noticed that I didn't make a point of this, but we're not actually dealing with centimeters anymore. The units have changed. We're now dealing with millimeters. But that doesn't affect how we answer this question. As long as the height, the width, and the depth all are in the same units, as in they're all measured in centimeters or they're all measured in millimeters, we can still use the formula exactly the same. But our answer will be in millimeters cubed. Okay, so bearing that in mind, let's keep going. So first of all, we're going to multiply the height by the width. So 3 times 5, that is going to be 15, and that is going to be millimeters squared because we have found the surface area of this shape. Okay, so the surface area of this shape is 15 millimeters. Let's draw that properly. 15 millimeters squared. So that's the surface area of this shape here, okay? Now we still need to multiply this by 6, okay? So 15 times 6 millimeters. Well, might take you a little bit of thinking, but 15 times 6 is 90. And then remember the units, because this is our final volume, it's going to be millimeters cubed. Okay, so this is our final answer for the volume of this shape, 90 millimeters cube. So always, always, always check the question to see what units you're using. Okay, always check what units you're using. Okay, let's move on to the main task. So we've got 8 questions for you here now. Some have cubes drawn on them, some don't have cubes drawn on them. Pause the video and give these questions a real good go. Best of luck. Okay, here are the answers. Very well done if you got them all right. Now, I'm going to move on to the checking question now. So, we have a cuboid here, and we are told that the volume of this shape is 240 cubic centimeters, or 240 centimeters cubed. when we are asked what is the depth of this shape, and we can see on the shape here, we're told the height, we're told the width, but there's a question mark on the depth, okay? So pause the video, have a think, see if you can figure out what the depth of this shape is, okay? So pause the video and give this question a good go. Okay, so let's write out the formula again. So volume equals height times width times depth. And we're told the volume is 240 millimeters cubed. We're told the height is 5 millimeters. Sorry, it's not millimeters, it says centimeters. Yeah, so be careful with units. We're told the height is 5 centimeters, and we're told the width is 6 centimeters. But we don't know the depth, so we're just going to leave that as depth. Okay. So first of all, let's work out what 5 times 6 is. So we've got 240 centimeters cubed. 5 times 6, that's going to be 30 centimeters squared. Okay. But we still need to multiply it by depth. Okay. So hopefully most of you got this far. Now we need to figure out what do we have to times 30 by to find out the depth. So what we have to times 30 by to get 240, okay? Now, some of you might have just done your 30 times table. So if we did that, we would have got 30, 60, 90, 120, 150, 180, 210, and then 240. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 30. So if we did it this way, you would have found that, so 240 centimeters cubed equals 30 centimeters squared times 8 centimeters, okay? So you could have worked it out with that way by just counting how many 30s are in 240. But another way is if you did 240 divided by 30. So 240 divided by 30. If you did it that way, you would have also found out that the answer was 8. Okay? So there's two different ways to figure that out. Well done if you got either of them. And that's the end of the lesson now. Well done, guys. Good work. And we'll see you next time. Bye now.